Just when you thought there were no more surprises from the Broncos, another twist in their twisted season. Kevin Harlan, Sam Weiss with you from Oakland. An hour ago, the Denver Broncos dropped another bombshell.
Well, Brian Griese's back at starting quarterback. Bubby Brister in street clothes with a strained oblique muscle right here. It's Brian Griese.
The Denver Broncos against the Oakland Raiders next on CBS. Oakland, the winless Denver Broncos against the Oakland Raiders, coming in 2 up and 2 down. A gorgeous day for football here in Northern California. A slight breeze, sunny skies, and a great view of almost capacity-filled Network Associates Stadium. Well, the Broncos, we met with Bubby Brister and Mike Shanahan last night. No word, no inkling that there was a problem with their quarterback, Brister, who was named the starter midweek.
In fact, we even talked to both of these guys, and Bubby Brister said he practiced 90% of the snaps during practice, took all of Thursday's workout, but today unable to go with a strained oblique muscle.
Michael Husted sets the kickoff for the Oakland Raiders. We welcome those of you watching the Kansas City New England game. A missed field goal by Vinatieri to win it, and we are underway. It'll be Chris Watson inside the 5. He returned to kickoff last week for 71 yards, and he is still on his feet, stutter stepping up to the 34-yard line. That's a gain of 32 yards on the opening kickoff for the Denver Broncos, and some breathing space for quarterback Brian Griese. Welcome those of you watching San Diego and Detroit. Kevin Harlan and Sam Weiss. All week long it was Bubby Brister. A pulled muscle on his side. Brian Griese. That's the starting call. From the 33, 1st and 10. And Olandis Gary, a rookie from Georgia, who is taking the place for the injured Derek Lavelle, who was supposed to replace the injured Terrell Davis. And so we got all kinds of changes in the Denver backfield today.
Of course, it was a very last-minute decision. Bubby Brister went out early before the rest of the guys came out, couldn't throw. Brian Griese back in at quarterback. Lots of controversy during the week. We'll see how it affects his mental attitude during the game.
That was Gary's first carry in the NFL. 2nd down and long, 6, and outside it goes for Eddie McCaffrey, who is yanked down by Charles Woodson. Close to a 1st down, and it's a gain of 5 on 2nd down and 6. The Denver offense coming in number 26 in the NFL. Jones, Schlereth, the nail, an all-pro last year. Neal and Lexus takes the place of the now departed Harry Swain. Gary makes his first NFL start and appearance. Griffith is the blocking back. Rod Smith is as healthy as he has been all season long with McCaffrey. Shannon Sharp is the tight end, but that guy isn't healthy. Bobby Brister, we expected he would start. A change an hour before kickoff. 3rd and a long one. Griese on the move. Chased by Harris and brought down by Russell. Darrell Russell, in his 3rd year out of USC, makes the grab on the scrambling Griese. The Raider defense comes in highly ranked. Harris, Maryland, Darrell Russell, and Lance Johnstone. Linebackers in the middle, Beekert, flanked by K.D. Williams and Richard Harvey. And the secondary, pretty strong. The cornerbacks, Woodson and Allen. Safeties are Turner and Anthony Newman. So it's 3 and out for the Griese-led Bronco offense, and a punt will be Tom Ruin, and deep back at about the 15-yard line, Darian Gordon, the 2nd worst return average in the NFL. Ruin gets it high, and Gordon, who played the last 2 years with the Broncos, is tripped up and brought down by Watson. 51-yard punt. Great special teams by Chris Watson. 33-year-old Rich. He's drafted by New England, traded to Minnesota, goes to Washington. Kansas City comes here as a free agent.
Mobile quarterback. Rich Gannon talking to us yesterday said that they were going to come out here and just play solid football. No surprises, not showing his hand. But this is a guy that when things break down on him, even at his age, been in the league a long time, he can still scramble.
And he's played well. The 6th rated quarterback coming into today.
He's a leader. That's exactly what the Oakland Raiders needed. They lost Jeff George, of course, this offseason.
1st and 10 from the 8, moving up. Little ding pass which is caught by Tyrone Wheatley at the 10-yard line. Wheatley with his 7th reception of the season. His career has been reborn here with the Raiders, and on their line, Mo Collins, the All-Pro, Wisniewski, Robbins, another great center, DiNapoli, and Lincoln Kennedy, ex-Atlanta Falcon. Kaufman and Ritchie in the backfield, Brown and Jett the wide receivers, and Ricky Dudley now much more involved in the passing offense of Oakland. 2nd down and 7 from the 11-yard line for Coach John Gruden and the Raiders. More play action. There's a block. Gannon on the move, and he has to eat the ball at the 12-yard line with the meager gain of 1, bringing up 3rd and long. Denver's defense 13th rated in the NFL coming in. Horrible against the run. Tanavasa, Traylor back again starting. Price and Williams. Linebackers, Al Wilson, the rookie. Cottrez on one side. Romanowski on the other side. And in the secondary, Dale Carter and Ray Crocker are the corners. Eric Brown and Tyrone Braxton are the safeties. No score. 3rd and 6 for the Raiders at their 12. Gannon got a block from Kennedy. Buys him some time. The tight end, Ricky Dudley, is finally brought down by Torrey James. And a Raider first down. A gain of 12 on 3rd and 6.
Ricky Dudley now is going to protect. He's over here, and he's going to slip over to the other side of the field late. Gannon's looking down the field. You see Dudley coming to the outside. Nobody around him because all the linebackers dropped back into coverage. They lost him for a little bit underneath there. Tyrone Braxton coming in late to make the finishing hit.
Out is left tackle Mo Collins, a 2nd-year player out of Florida, who is probably the most improved Raider on the team, and there's an injury timeout. Here starter Mo Collins is out at left tackle, a very important position on the line. He'll be replaced by Barry Sims. He's seen limited action, played in NFL Europe this past spring. Here's a 2nd down and a 1st down and 10 after the Dudley 1st down catch, and it goes to Kaufman, who is wrapped up and brought down by Tanavasa. Led the team in sacks a year ago, and he pierced the line of the Raiders with the tackle on Kaufman.
Here's Maya Tanavasa. He's just going to come across before anything develops. Ball going off to the right side, just a straight handoff. See him shoot the gap. He gets down inside. The down block just didn't get there in time. Maya Tanavasa has kind of been absent from this defensive unit for a while. That's the first big play he's made in a couple of weeks.
And they need him to thrive. 2nd down, 3rd on the loss. Possibly showing blitz. Wilson is up, now drops back. Here comes the rush. Gannon is held. They won't let go, and he is brought down. Tanavasa was there along with Alfred Williams. A loss of 6. The first sack by Williams, who's been battling back spasms all season long.
And Alfred Williams now lined up right here. He's going against the rookie Sims. Let's see the matchup. Here's the first time. Well, actually, they peel out. The guard comes out. That's Wisniewski, and he just overruns it. You've got to keep that inside foot firm. Use your arms. Let's watch the arms of Wisniewski right here, number 76. See, he's reaching for him. He didn't get in front. You've got to frame that on-rushing lineman. That time, Alfred Williams too quick.
3rd and 18, and the ball back at the 17 of the Raiders. Good time for Gannon. Fires a pass which is caught by Tim Brown. The 96th consecutive game he has hauled in a pass. He picks up 9, but now it's 4th and long, and the Raiders have got a punt.
Now this is a pure zone defense. This is the defender right here. He's just covering his own. Looks like he's covering man-to-man, but he's got the outside zone. You see Dale Carter coming from the inside. Watch the line of linebackers that are going to stop right there. They're just going to all drop back. You see them all drop back, settling in the line. And then the ball is thrown underneath. Dale Carter comes up and makes a quick hit.
Aragoose to punt, averaging 32 yards last week in the Kingdom. A lot of directional kicking for this young punter. Here's a high-hanging punt. Deep back was Watson. It goes out near the 45-yard line. And let's see where they mark the ball. There are flags on the field. The punt was very high. They're still marking it off and finally decide on the 39. 33-yard punt. A lot going on here in Oakland with a timeout in the first quarter. Bobby Brister is injured. Greasy starts. Greasy is the 12th rated AFC quarterback to make the ranking for this week. And he said before, earlier in the week, when he was demoted to 2nd string and Brister was given the job, he said, I'm not going to fade away. How prophetic he was. He did not fade away.
I hope he paid attention in practice, because Bobby Brister took 90% of the practice snaps. Brian Greasy's playing out here with not a lot of work.
From the 39, first and 10, outside it goes. Pass is caught by Rod Smith, the two-time 1,000-yard receiving player from Missouri Southern. A gain of 12 right there. Eric Allen on the coverage. Now, we talked about Olandis Gary, the running back, who is making his first NFL appearance. He's been inactive the first 4 weeks of the season. He is starting because Derek Lavelle, who is thought to be replacing the injured Davis, is out with a hamstring.
And he did that in practice during the week. Might just be a Charlie horse, turned out to be worse.
From the 50, the handoff again to Gary, who corkscrews his way down to the 45. Interesting kid, grew up in Maryland, led the state as a high school running back in rushing. In fact, set the all-time record. He went to for 2 years, transferred to Georgia. He was a fourth-round pick, but what sold Mike Shanahan on him was what he saw on film late last year.
Well, he's been inactive all year long, but he still looks, and watch the game, he looks a lot like Terrell Davis, not just because he went to the University of Georgia.
The team Southeast Conference, a block by Griffith on 2nd and 7, a first down run by Gary. The rookie from Georgia picks up 11 yards, brought down by Eric Turner. That's the kind of job he did in preseason. He was a workhorse.
That looks a lot like Terrell Davis. Watch these two blockers right here on the side, though. Solid man-to-man. Now the running back can just read off that. Breaks through the first tackle, and right here is just pulling for extra yards. He's pulling everybody down that's trying to pull him down. But that's the secondary getting to him. He ran through the first linebacker.
Raider player down, as you see. Maybe Richard Harvey. That's a 52. We're blocked out, but there is an injury timeout in a scoreless first quarter. Walked off under his own power. Looked like he might have a stinger, and taking his place will be a rookie 5th-round pick out of Maryland, Eric, who has seen only time on special teams. Brian Greasy starting for the injured Bubby Bristol from the 35 on 1st and 10 here. The double clutch running out of the pocket, finds the receiver and overshoots Rod Smith. Incomplete pass. 2nd down and 10. Take me inside the mind of Brian Greasy. Demoted, finds out this morning he's going to start again.
I'll tell you, all week long he probably felt like a big sore thumb, because when you're taken out of the lineup, you're watching practice, somebody else is taking all the snaps, you feel like everybody's looking at you. So psychologically it's very tough to get yourself ready and to visualize yourself in the practice snaps. Right now, though, I think it's to his benefit. The pressure is off from last week. Now he just come in there and make things happen.
2nd down and 10. Handoff to Griffith. Great penetration. Defensive line by Darrell Russell in his 3rd year. And last year as a starter was all-pro.
Right here. Here's Darrell Russell. And watch, he's just going to shoot the gap again. The Raiders are firing across the line of scrimmage. They're not reading anything. I think I had the wrong guy circled that time. But everybody is coming across. That was Darrell Russell that time. They just came across the line. You know, some defensive lines read the blocks. They skate along the line of scrimmage. The Raiders don't. They come across and try to get in the backfield.
And he's got a bad wheel. Aggravated an ankle last week in Seattle.
Probably going to see Chuck Osborne in there giving him some relief during the game.
3rd and 17 from the 42. A swing pass caught by tight end Byron Chamberlain, who hurdles his way for 6. Still shy of a first down by 4. And it looks like they will try for 3. So Greasy takes him in. Long pass to Rod Smith, the key for Mike Shanahan, who appeared very relaxed when we talked to him last night about today's game and about the state of his team.
Well, it's very difficult in the head coach because of all the conversation, the Sports Illustrated article, the conversation that has to be taking place in that locker room as well.
Jason Elam, 48-yard try, has the distance, and Denver is on the board. The #1 kicker in terms of points since '93 puts it through. And Denver on top, 3-0, 6:09 to play in the first quarter. About 80 degrees here in Oakland. Kevin Harlan, Sam Weish out at the Alameda Coliseum Complex. 48-yard field goal moments by Jason Elam, and Denver is on the board. Brister pulling a muscle on his side on Friday. Had treatment after practice, a little bit of treatment yesterday, but we met with him. He told us he was going to start. And before the game, they yanked him and put in Greasy. Here's the ensuing kickoff, picked up by Randy Jordan, who's initially a Raider, went to Jacksonville, now back with the Raiders, and he's out to the 26. Next Saturday, the Home Depot College Football on CBS goes deep in the heart of the SEC. You'll see the great Sean Alexander lead the Crimson Tide of Alabama against the Rebels of Ole Miss. Tim Brando and Spencer Tillman have the Volkswagen College Football Today.
Sean Alexander, one of the most explosive running backs in the country. Talk about exciting. One of the guys we'll be watching out here in the National Football League one day.
He's not in the Heisman race now, but you know what? If he keeps going the way he's going, problems they've had with the kid down at Florida State done, he may get in there. On the 27, 1st and 10, play action by Gannon, winds up and whistles a pass shy of Tim Brown on a crossing pattern, covered by veteran, savvy cornerback Ray Crockett.
Solid protection. John Gruden told us yesterday that last week they went into this ball game with 2 tight ends, 2 running backs, and only 1 wide receiver 24 times. The reason being, protect the quarterback. Look around the league at how many quarterbacks are getting hit. Maybe not sacked, but they're taking a lot of shots, and of course a lot of them are getting injured and knocked out of the game.
Raiders lost at Seattle last Sunday night, 22-21. Here's a 2nd down and 10 from the 27. And the handoff goes to Zach Crockett, spinning his way off one, corkscrewing his way up to the 34 on a gain of 6. Neil Smith the tackle. Let's send it off to New York and Jim Nantz.
Kevin and Sam, Philadelphia was winless coming in, Dallas undefeated, but with a minute and Doug Peterson found Charles Johnson wide open, and the Eagles hand the Cowboys their first loss. The Patriots lost, so the Rams are the only undefeated team in the NFL. Let's go back to Kevin and Sam.
All right, thank you. Doug Peterson was at one time coached by John Gruden up in Green Bay. Mike Holmgren. Gruden on the sideline for the Raiders. There's a 3rd and 4. Good block by Kennedy. Good block by Crockett. Here comes the rush. Neil Smith has him. Neil Smith brings him down. And the diving, plunging Gannon comes close to a 1st down. Smith again was trying to tangle with the slippery Gannon.
Really good protection, though, from the very beginning. Neil Smith's going to come from the other side. You saw a little bit of Alfred Williams there from this side as he scrambles up. Now all these blocking schemes start to break down. Those offensive linemen are protecting one landmark, about 9.5 yards directly behind the center. That's when the quarterback takes 5 to 7 steps, takes a little hitch step. He's between 8.5 and 9.5 yards deep. That's what they protect. When he scrambles, he's on his own.
Where they're close. A link. And they're going to punt.
If Rich Gannon was 6'5" instead of 6'3", he makes it.
What would you do here?
I punt the ball right now. It's still in a battle right here. This is going to be a defensive battle until somebody breaks it. I think Denver is the kind of a football team that can be worn down. They've got a smaller offensive line against that bigger defense. Raiders, get them back in there, wear them down a little more.
Raiders have had some special teams problems this year. Just last week, Charlie Rogers of Seattle returned a punt 68 yards. Long kickoff return by Chicago. And Eric has had a very ordinary season punting. Here he gets off a rocket. Deep back, Chris Watson driven back. The rookie is to his 7-yard line. Hand in, breaking a tackle, and then crushed at the 10. Great special teams by Calvin Branch. 56-yard punt, 3-yard return. It's Denver by 3. Phoenix today of the Bay Area, brought to you by the Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company. We are in Network Associates Stadium. That round building there is where the Golden State Warriors of the NBA play. Denver on a 48-yard field goal lead it. Greasy is the quarterback. Bristol is injured. Greasy got the start, 1st and 10. Handoff to Gary, bumping into Sharp and finds very little room, picking up a yard. 2nd down and 9. Last week, Denver losing at home to the Jets 21-13. 3 Brian Greasy interceptions and a fumble.
Well, Brian Greasy's had his troubles. He's had 8 fumbles all season long, which is an NFL high for a quarterback. Got to control it, but he's a young player, and these are the kind of mistakes. Remember, he only threw the ball 3 times in 1998.
2nd down and 9 from the 12. Quick throw, caught, and close to a 1st down. That one was allowed by Rod Smith. That's a gain of 10. Healthiest he's been, Mike Shanahan told us last night, all season long.
First 4 games of 98 and 99, the Broncos aren't doing as well. Remember, now this one is a defensive number, the points allowed. Everything else, though, is in a downward spiral. That 3rd down efficiency of 32% is really not awful, but that's not what they're used to in Denver.
1st down from the 23 for Greasy. Brady Jackson in his face. Great catch made by McCaffrey, and there he goes. chased by Newman, brought down by Allen, and it's a gain of 35 on a great pattern run by McCaffrey. That's his specialty, one of the best pattern runners in the NFL.
Now this McCaffrey, he is going against his own defense. It looked like for a minute there Charles Woodson was covered. It's called a bump and bail. He bumps him for a second and then bails back to his zone. And what you see there, watch him, he's going to be up, gives him a little chuck. Now he settles back. He doesn't chase him in. He's hanging back to the outside to see all the help to the inside. But McCaffrey finds the seam. Nice inside throw by Brian Greasy.
From the 42, here comes Gary again. Orlandis Gary out of Georgia, the rookie. Gains a yard right there. Shanahan told us in watching tape his senior year at Georgia, the last 3 or 4 games he was gaining 5, 6, 7 yards a pop, and that's what sold him.
But as you watch him run, you'll see his shoulder pad level, what coaches call shoulder pad level, is very low. Every time he hits somebody, he falls forward. Orlandis Gary's another guy, though, that bends at the knees. He's 5'11". When he bends over, he's about 5'4", and it's tough to find a place to hit him.
Second down 9. Here comes Allen on the blitz, and the handoff again goes to Gary with no room to run, and he is thrown for perhaps even a loss of a yard on the play. Great pursuit. Katie Williams is there, 59. A year ago at this time, this kid was picking up bags as a skycap at the Tampa International Airport.
Yeah, I'm in Tampa trying, to put the team together, looking for good players, making all kinds of trips around the country. This guy's taking my bags for me to the plane, walking right by him.
He had a great story. He's been in the World League. He's played in the CFL. He played for Kansas City, waived. Dallas, waived. Now he's here at the Raiders.
Aggressive player. If he's got a problem, he just overruns stuff because he hustles all the time.
3rd and 10 upcoming for the Broncos, who burned their first time out. 1:41 to play in the first quarter. An Elam field goal. It's 3-0 Denver from Oakland. Harm thought it was tough flying Mach 2 over hostile territory. Wait till he gets back in the courtroom. Don't miss America's #1 action. An all-new Jag Tuesdays on CBS. The Raider defense has had trouble on 3rd and long all year.
They're bringing the blitz to try to help themselves and intercept it.
It's picked off. Picked off by Eric Allen, his first of the year, coming off a season when he had 5, and the ex-Saint and ex-Eagle picks off Brian Greasy, who throws his 6th interception this year.
McCaffrey's going to come down inside, reading it all the way because it's a zone defense. You can watch Eric Allen's eyes from the very beginning. He's looking back at the crowd. Now, here comes the blitz right here. Now watch. There comes the trouble up in the middle. But you see this is a zone right here. He's reading it. That's called a lurk. He just lurks in the middle. And the coverage, knowing they've got help from the inside, Eric Allen could jump on that for the interception.
So the problem with 3rd downs all season by Oakland turns the tables on Denver, and from the 27-yard line, Rich Gannon will give off to Tyrone Wheatley, whose average per run is 4.5 per carry, the 2nd best in the NFL coming into this week.
He's playing with Tyrone Wheatley with a shoulder that's bothering him. I asked him yesterday if he was wearing what's called a donut, a little extra padding under the pad. He said absolutely not. No bandage underneath there. I just play football.
It's like an air cushion filled with water. Am I right?
That's about it. Well, an air cushion filled with water would be, like counterproductive. It's only air or water. What are you asking me here? Yeah, well, you're speechless. Go ahead.
It's 2nd down and 9. Gannon hit by Hasselbeck, throws the pass, which is caught at the 32-yard line by Tim Brown. He came into today as the number 4 receiver in the NFL. His 2nd catch. He's got 28 for the year.
One of the finest, not only receivers, but all-around players. Return man. I remember when I was in Tampa, actually, we're looking maybe to make a move with him. Financially, the contract deal was part of it, but we were unable to do it at the time, and he signed back with the Raiders and has been one of their star players.
12 years out of Notre Dame. 3rd down and 4. From the 33, good block by Kennedy. The pass, and the receiver slipped, and that was Tim Brown. Covered on the play by Torrey James, who's the nickel back today, taking the place of the rookie Chris Watson, and Oakland's got a punt again.
And Tim Brown's going to come back inside. Watch when he goes to plant his inside. Watch, you see his inside foot right there slip. You always plan on the outside foot. This is brand new turf, by the way. This is the first game that's been played since baseball ended, and he's just a little bit. Actually, I think he was outside the new turf, but his foot slipped because he planted on the wrong.
So the Raiders can't cash in on the Eric Allen interception. Another punt by Aragus. The second 3-and-out for Oakland. Watson back at the 19-yard line. He's held by Shed. Gets away. Then he is doused at the 20-yard line. Play. 1-yard return. 48-yard punt. Tackle made by Marquise Walker. Monday on CBS, the King of Queens is ready.
Just be himself.
Bobby Brister not playing. They named him the starter Wednesday, but out with a, it's this area right here, which is called a left oblique muscle. We don't know if it's strained or if it's pulled, but it's a problem.
Well, he came out early. He wasn't sure if he'd be able to go, and he wasn't.
First down and 10. There's the pitch out to Garrett. Gets back, finds a crack, and is finally brought down by Anthony Newman. The flag is down. And a gain of 5 as it stands right now.
He'll be holding against Denver.
Ron Blum is our referee today, a golf pro, a teaching golf pro.
Holding 66 offense. 10 yards. Repeat first down.
That's their all-pro center, Tom Nalen. First penalty of the game against Shanahan's Denver Broncos.
As a result, if they lose position, sometimes they reach out there.
First quarter has come to a close. Greasy and the Broncos get a 48-yard field goal from Jason Elam. He's already thrown an interception at the end of one. It's Denver by 3. First play of the second quarter. First and 19 from the 10, and across the middle it goes. The pass is caught and hauled in by Olandis Gary. That is his first reception in the NFL. It's a gain of 10, bringing up second down and 9.
Now you'll watch Brian Greasy as he sets up. Watch, he's going to and then come forwards. Whoops, he plants and throws right away. Gary slips out of the backfield. Olandis Gary. Normally a back like that will look to see if anybody breaks clean quickly. He'll chip him, or he'll just slow him down and then break to the middle. Quick throw that time from Greasy.
Second down 9. Here comes Gary again, brought down by Chuck Osborne. The ex-Ram, an original pick by the Rams. Let's take a break and go to Jim Nantz in New York.
All right, Kevin, down at Nashville, Baltimore coming in after 2 straight wins, but Tennessee has scored the game's first touchdown. O'Neill's first carry of the season, good for a touchdown from a yard out. And let's go back to Kevin and Sam.
Yeah, Neal, thank you, Jim. Neal last year with Tampa Bay, and Eddie George, so happy to see him as his sledgehammer, his leading blocker.
Got to have one. Eddie George is one of the best running backs in football, but you need the first guy knocked down in front of you.
Third down and 7. Here's the pass, thrown a little bit in back of Rod Smith, who tried to turn around, covered by Marquise Walker, and again the Broncos have got to punt the ball.
You could see Rod Smith just reach back with his, he couldn't twist his body back. He's playing with a slight growing pull, has for several weeks, and in order to catch a pass like that, you've got to turn your hips and your body back and reach back to get it. He just was unable to do that.
Second 3 and out now for the Broncos, so we'll get another look at Tom Ruin, who's averaging 44 for punt, and he'll be punting to Darian Gordon, who had a couple interceptions in the Super Bowl last year for the Broncos.
The best returner of punts maybe in the history of the National Football League, certainly in recent history.
On the 15, gets by Al Ripken, breaks another tackle, then whipped around and taken down out near the 41. A wonderful 26-yard return after the 63-yard punt. It's 3-0 Denver, early second field goal. Broncos on top with Sam Weish. Kevin, great to have you with us today from Oakland. What are your residual thoughts on the Sports Illustrated article about the Broncos this week?
Well, number one, what was Michael Silver, forgot his name, they're doing with these guys anyway. But after a ball game, anything can be said. A lot of things can be taken out of context. I don't put much into that game, into that comment. The comments made.
And his throw is up for Tim Brown, incomplete. The coverage applied on the play by Dale Carter, who so far has staggered as a high-priced free agent from Kansas City, 4 years, $22 million, $5 million a year. Second down and 10.
Dale Carter's had a tough start here. He's had interference, 2 of them last week. Got a touchdown. Keyshawn Johnson over the top of him. Getting a lot of criticism back in Denver, but he's still one of the top corners around.
Arizona for the Giants down in Tempe. Second down and 10. And it's a handoff going to Wheatley. Gaining 2 yards. Catrez makes the tackle. Buffalo wins today 4-1. Pittsburgh continues to spiral downward, and look at San Diego at 3-1.
San Diego's a surprise. They were supposed to struggle. And look at the Chicago Bears over the Minnesota Vikings. Central Division is getting tighter and tighter.
And tonight, Green Bay plays Tampa Bay up at Lambeau.
Yep, I think those teams are going to beat each other within that division. It's going to even out.
3rd down and 8 from the 43-yard line. Good block by Wisniewski. The pass intercepted, picked off by Romanowski. Flying down the sideline, steps out of bounds at the Raider 36-yard line. His second pick in as many weeks. He intercepted Meyer last week. A 17-yard return for Romanowski.
Bill Romanowski is just sitting back into he's just going to drop straight into the zone area here, waiting for the pass to come. He's looking at the quarterback. The quarterback is trying to throw inside to Tim Brown. Romanowski between the two.
The battered and bruised Broncos on top by 3. That's his second of the year, and Denver's in very good position.
They've got position. Now the job is Brian Greasy, making sure that the protection schemes are right and his throws are sure. Nothing chancy here.
Like right there to Rod Smith from the Oakland 37. 1st down and 10 pass. Picks up 11. A 1st down for the Denver Broncos, who lead it 3-0.
You know, when I said there's Bill Romanowski, who gave him this field position. Got one last week, of course, against the New York Jets down around the goal line. But Brian Greasy's got to make sure that Orlandis Gary, who's in the backfield with him, a rookie playing in his first ball game, is blocking the right guy. Protection schemes need to be simplified right here to make sure you don't have a mistake like that.
Good point. 1st and 10. Fake handoff. Rolling is Greasy. Being chased to the end zone. Almost picked off by Newman. Incomplete pass. He was zeroing in on Sharp. Time they've thrown to the all-pro tight end. Incomplete pass.
Now here's Sharp. He's going to go all the way across the field, coming the other way. Anthony Newman is coming underneath. There's just the ball's in the air long enough for him to get underneath. Quick fake going one way. Now here's the fake going to go this way, and the quarterback's going to go back to the other side. Here comes the tight end going all the way across. That's Shannon Sharp. Anthony Newman underneath.
On the 25, 2nd down and 10. Gary again trying to wrestle his way for a yard or two, and probably is stopped in his tracks. Greg Biekert, number 54, from Longmont, Colorado, makes the stop. Coming up on the NASDAQ halftime report, Jim Craig, Randy and Jerry with scores and highlights. And what about the Chicago Bears winning again? Incredible. 2 in a row now, coming from behind last week in Chicago and then beating the Vikings. And Ray Sherman, the new offensive coordinator of the Vikings, getting the same heat now that he got last year with Pittsburgh as he was tutoring quarterback Cordell Stewart. 3rd and 11 for Greasy. Across the middle. Caught by Smith. Fumble on the play. Picked up by the Raiders. Grabbed by Turner. He'll go the other way with an entourage by the 50 and to the 47-yard line.
Mike Shanahan pulling his hair out. Smith going that way. Ball is caught. Clean catch. Takes a couple of steps. Ball is stripped by Marquise Walker. And a clean pickup. Eric Turner. Now it's a foot race with all those blockers, but too many people coming from behind. Big turnaround after the Romanowski interception.
A return of 34 yards on that fumble recovery of Smith. Last intercepted Bubby Brister and ran it back 94 yards for a touchdown. Almost did the same right there. From the Denver 47, 1st down and 10 for the Raiders, who trail 3-0. Change play.
Changing the play, trying to get his protection right.
Play clock was at 1, and the handoff goes to the high-stepping Tyrone Wheatley, who was acquired off waivers from Miami, and Miami got him in a trade from the Giants, where he was a former number 1 pick, but a huge bust.
Well, he's had his problems, but he's found exactly his situation here. That time the audible was not to the pass. Every checkoff doesn't have to be to a pass. It can be to a run. If you've got a guy running like Tyrone Wheatley's been running for this ball club, who gets stronger and stronger as the game goes along, you audible to the run just as much as you do the pass.
Rushing has been a huge problem for the Raiders today. 7 carries and about 12 yards. 2nd down and 5. Quick pass outside for fullback John Ritchie, who tumbles his way to the 34. Brought down by free safety Eric Brown. It's a gain of 8. Raider 1st down. deep into Denver territory and get inside the game with CBS Sports Line's Week 5 leaders. See today's leaders in passing, rushing, receiving, and kicking. Real time. It's live right now. Just click on to the NFL at cbs.sportsline.com.
I was getting a little background on you just this week.
You saw the nice
skeletons in the closet, don't you?
A lot. It's a first down, a pulling block by Wisniewski, but still does not open up any room for Napoleon Kaufman. Brought down with no gain, second down and 10. Cadrez was there along with middle linebacker rookie Al Wilson.
Al Cadrez, of course, went to weak side linebacker after John Mobley injured his knee early in the year. Al Wilson, a rookie, #1 pick this year out of Tennessee, has moved in there. He gets a lot of help, of course, from Romanowski and Cadrez, 2 veterans on either side of him. But he's an aggressive football player. They like him here.
Down 11 from the 35. Changing again.
Another audible, checking, maybe not to a pass. This time it is, though.
Good block by Sims with Collins out, and the pass across the middle is lassoed by the tight end Dudley. Rick Dudley, who used to play basketball at Ohio State, grabs that pass. A gain of 12 right there. As you see, Miami and the Colts tied up at 3. And Tennessee on the run by Neal up on top of Baltimore, 7-3.
Tennessee, one of the teams that I think is just going to keep right on winning. They're not blowing everybody away. Played a good game against San Francisco. Cincinnati, their first win late. That one came real late.
Achilles Smith, a touchdown pass to Carl Pickens.
Well, that's their future. Philadelphia, of course, with their first win of the year.
Wheatley and Ritchie in the backfield. 1st and 10 from the 24. Gannon across the middle, batted, deflected, and caught on the carom by the quarterback, Gannon. It's a reception for no gain.
He's just padding his stats, I'm telling you. That is a reception. The quarterback can catch his own pass. It's legal. He's going to set up, and as he goes to let the ball go, watch the defensive linemen raise their hands. They're timing. Their hands go up. The ball's in the air, complete. 12-12. Just like the bunt being handled by the pitcher and tagging him out at first.
We mentioned Barry Sims still in there for the injured Mo Collins. The Raiders have not given us any indication what's wrong with Collins. 2nd down, 13 from the 20. 2 tight ends, including Dudley. Good block by Sims to the end zone, and a receiver is there, the tight end Brigham. It's incomplete. He was covered on the play by Eric Brown. Brown in the secondary taking the place of Steve Atwater. Number 26.
Lots of being around the ball a lot. Eric Brown is like Atwater. Had 11 tackles against Kansas City.
Our guys have a sense of humor downstairs.
Yeah. 1 -3. Hey, he'll be talking about the catch. He doesn't care what his average is.
Good job by Kenny Mack and Jeff St. Armand. 3rd down and 13 from the 27. 3 wide receivers. Good time. Down the middle, caught again, and good for a Raider, at least close to a first down. Gain of 12. Jeremy Brigham, 2 years out of Washington, with his 6th reception of the year. I think they're going to be shy by the length of the football.
I think they will be too. But you know, one of the things that Oakland is doing today, rather than moving Rich Gannon out of the pocket as much as they have been, I think the Denver Broncos expected him to be bootlegging and rolling out. He's sitting right in the pocket, throwing those shorter throws when they're there. It is short, but they're going for it.
4th and 1, 8th play of the drive. It was set up on the fumble by Rod Smith, the return by Turner, and the handoff to Crockett. A sledgehammer of a fullback who tumbles his way close to the 13 and close to a Raider first down.
Left foot, right foot, left foot, right foot. This is the official's mark.
It's funny you mentioned feet because Crockett has had a broken foot and just now coming back after being injured early in camp with the Raiders.
Precisely why I mentioned it at the moment I did. Actually, what I was referring to, get your hands off of me, I'm telling you. Actually, what I was referring to is when you've got a pileup like that, the officials make their best judgment as to whether there's forward motion beyond the marker. That
Great
was
stop.
not.
Great stop by the Denver defense. That's a huge defensive stand. Huge defensive stand. They frustrated John Gruden. Denver still on top. Well, these great scenics brought to you by the Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company. The Blue Angels were performing over San Francisco Bay the entire week. what a sight that was to see.
They call it Fleet Week here in San Francisco. They've been flying over the city the entire weekend.
After a great defensive stand, 1st and 10 from the 14, and the handoff goes to running back Olandis-Gary, the 4th-round rookie pick out of Georgia. Starting today for the injured Derek Lavelle. Lavelle pulled a hamstring in camp, inactive today, and of course they're all taking the place of the injured Terrell Davis, and Davis tears the MCL, tears the right ACL, and tears cartilage. This week they say he'll probably be under the surgeon's knife.
And that's 4, 6, sometimes longer months of rehabilitation. Terrell Davis, a hard worker. He'll get it back, but that's a long way off.
2nd down, 7. Flag is thrown. Here comes Gary, pummeling his way near the 23. Down the flag thrown back at the 18 by Ron Blum's crew, and still tied they are. The Dolphins. Fish not trying to get whacked in Indianapolis today, and Tennessee on top of Baltimore 7-6.
Baltimore's an improving ball club. Each week you can see them getting better and better.
Arizona Plummer with the touchdown run as we see Ron Blum come toward us.
Offside, 96 defense, 5 yards. Repeat 2nd down.
Kansas City with the win. Vinatieri on 2 games on game-winning kicks. Buffalo.
Pittsburgh got 21 points. Cordell Stewart, of course, having a tough start to 1999. San Diego over Detroit. Thought Detroit would win that one at home.
3-1 San Diego. 2nd down and 2. Handoff goes to the swerving and swiveling rookie Olandis-Gary, who picks up 6 and adds a 1st down for the Broncos. Great shifting on the fly by the rookie.
I tell you, he is moving left and right, but he's gaining ground upfield. He doesn't have to stop and start. Some running backs have to plant and change direction. He does look like Terrell Davis. He's going to come up and then bend back. Let's watch the path of the runner. Here he comes off the right side. See the block? That time by Tony Jones. Straight up the field, right to the linebacker and the defensive backs. Full speed, shoulders low. That's the way good runners go.
10 carries, 29 yards for Gary. 1st down from the 28. After the great defensive stand, long throw by Greasy, caught by McCaffrey. At the Raider 47-yard line, he beat Eric Turner. It's a gain of 26 yards. Another long completion. McCaffrey's had a good day off the blocks.
Well, he's underneath Eric Turner, but he's also in behind Charles Woodson. Now watch Woodson. He's going to try to drop back underneath. See him come into the frame there. Doesn't quite get there. There's a nice natural hole right there. This is called a double roll. Now this is the zone that Woodson's going to have. This zone right here is covered by the safety. Watch the move back to the corner. Going to drop right in between the two. You see the hole in the corner? That'll be a throw, though.
McCaffrey 66 yards on 3 receptions. He dumps this one off to fullback Howard Griffith, who dives ahead past the 30 for a Denver 1st down to the 28. It's a gain of 18. Griffith, only his 4th catch of the season. Monday on CBS, an all-new night of the best comedy on television. The King of Queens, Ladies Man, Everybody Loves Raymond, Becker, and Family Law. The new hit drama, Family Law, all on Monday, all on CBS. Greasy, he's thrown an interception today, getting the surprise start because Brister pulled a muscle on his left ribcage.
And that was news to Greasy as well as the rest of us just moments before the game started.
Greasy is 10 of 14, double clutches. This pass incomplete. He was looking for Travis McGriff, a 3rd-round pick out of Florida, a rookie who has been inactive or has not played all season long, catchless so far.
Just came in and was going to catch one underneath. If Brian Greasy's had something that seems to have followed him the first weeks of the season, is to let that ball get away from him high in the middle. He's thrown the ball well inside, avoiding linebackers and so forth, but when he gets into trouble, it's because it's the high throw.
2nd down and 10 at the 28. Good block by Gary, buys the quarterback time, and he still can't hit an open Howard Griffith, the fullback, and he had time to throw the ball.
He had Griffith, and he also had Ed McCaffrey, who was wide open inside. That was probably the primary receiver. Griffith was supposed to spread that zone, but you know, a young quarterback, when he feels the pressure quick, even if it was the play before, sometimes it's not that particular play. If he feels pressure and remembers pressure, he's going to let it go quick and throw behind. That's the 2nd one. Remember, Rod Smith was throwing a little bit behind him earlier in this game.
Denver came into today with the 19th rated rushing attack in the NFL, only averaging 90 yards as a team on the ground. Here's a 3rd and 10. Shotgun snap to Greasy, looking deep. He's got Smith. What a whack put on him by Eric Allen. Smith drops the pass. Incomplete. Tremendous coverage for the secondary of the Raiders.
Coming right up the middle now. He's got the seam right up the shot. Watch Eric Allen though on the recovery. The ball's in the air. Whang! Got to catch and put that one away. I'm not sure he would have been able to hold on to this. Rod Smith's one of the best receivers in the game, but that was stretching him a little bit too far.
47-yard try by Elam, who has already knocked it through today from 48. This one looks to be just as good. Jason Elam, the #1 all-time Broncos scorer, who kicked a 51-yarder last week against the Jets, has booted 2 today from 48 and 47 yards away. And go back to the defensive stand on 4th and 1 at the 14. Denver's defense holding. Turns over and Greasy leads them downfield. Thus the lead is 6-0.
Remember the whole twist of things there. You had Romanowski intercepting the ball, then the fumble recovery run all the way back by Eric Turner, and then of course the goal line stand by Denver.
Monday on CBS, Ray's guilty of letting Sprouts get in the way. Well, you know, it obviously did.
I'm laughing kind of with you here.
Yeah. Not at me, but
no.
Gorgeous day here in Northern California. You can see the baseball right here. See all that right there? It's all part of the baseball infield. Pitcher's mound is down there.
They just replaced that this past week. Of course, the Raiders were on the road this past week. Gave a little bit of that time for the Roots to grab hold.
Here's the Broncos kickoff. This is taken by Napoleon Kaufman, who returned one last week for 95 yards, but it was knocked away because of a special teams penalty on the Raiders. The tackle made here by Nate Wayne, a reserve linebacker. And there you see Kaufman.
Last week, here's Greasy. Interception. Now this is the injury. You're going to look at it right here to Terrell Davis. This is the right tackle, Matt Lepsis, trying to make the tackle as well, and just caught the foot wrong. You know, if that foot comes down and it's planted, those cleats have grabbed, and you hit it from the side like that, the cartilage and ligaments are going to give way.
Yeah, we keep talking about the injuries on turf, artificial turf, but even on natural turf, you're going to see it.
It can happen on anyone.
First and 10 from the 37. Again, gets a block from Sim. Almost picked off by Dale Carter on a pass intended for James Jett. Carter has yet to pick one off as a Bronco. First time they've gone to Jett today through the air.
Now this is why Dale Carter's getting so much criticism back home. This is a pass that's supposed to be intercepted by every corner in the league, not just the high-priced ones, and go right down the sideline.
Leaving the field last week, hit with the metal object in the eye, was bruised underneath the eye, but he's okay there.
We were told there was no problem at all. He did have some discomfort during the week. It's another audible. See the hand signals. That's telling everybody what the play is.
Second down and 10 across the middle. Backpedaling catch by Terry Mickens. Gain of 9, the ex-Green Bay Packer, who John Gruden became familiar with when he was coaching up in Green Bay. Miami has taken a lead. Tackle there made by Bill Romanowski. There's Romanowski, who, by the way, for the 3rd consecutive week has been fined by the NFL for on-field incidents, excessive taunting, also against the Buccaneers and against Kansas City.
Well, we'll tell about a funny little story last week when he got into it with Brian Cox, but he gets into trouble. I think your reputation precedes you. The officials kind of look for you a little more when you've been fined.
3rd and 1 from the 46, and a dive by Zach Crockett. And close to a first down.
Here's some of the problems Bill Romanowski's had in the past. This is a fine football player. Now, we're not jumping all over him, but this is what he's getting fined for. Right cross there. He's going to hit Trent Dilfer this time. And watch the head. If you come in leading with your head rather than the shoulders, especially going high like that, usually you're going to get a penalty, but always you're going to get fined.
First down dive by Crockett. Raiders from the 47. Here comes Smith. There's the pass. Richie wide open. First down. Lumbering ahead to the 35-yard line of Denver. A gain of 17 yards brought down by free safety Eric Brown. Richie makes his 2nd catch of the day.
Here's Richie. He's just going to slip out now. Here he goes. This is notice everybody is running man-to-man. It's man-to-man coverage. Terrific block there by Tim Brown, freeing Richie up for the extra yardage. But it was man-to-man coverage. Richie was supposed to be in there blocking, at least from the defensive standpoint. When he slipped out, nobody had.
Kid who began at the University of Michigan transfers to Stanford, and he gives him a first down at the 2-minute warning of the first half. It's Denver 6-0. Broncos, who have won 7 of the last 8 against the Raiders, lead here 6-0, 2-minute warning.
2 minutes ago, the last time they were in this position, Denver came up with a big stand, took the ball away from one, 4th down, about the length of a ball.
From the 35, 1st and 10 for the Raiders. Moving again, the pump fake. Great time for Gannon, being chased by Hasselbeck and being chased on the play by Traylor, and he tries to underhand it as he was decked out of bounds at the 42. And they mark him out at the 42-yard line.
Yeah. When you throw the ball, you've got to get it out of bounds. Pressure coming from the inside now, straight up the middle. Initially, he's got time to throw. The coverage is what's forced this. He wanted to go back to the left side. He had a one-on-one situation against Eric Brown, the defensive safety. Now watch right here. He's just going to underhand throw it. You got to get it to or beyond the line of scrimmage before they'll protect from the hit that he just took.
2nd 19 from the 43. Up the middle, he gets away from Alfred Williams, being chased by Traylor. Fumble on the play. It's loose. Contreras, like he had a hand on it. The pile up at the 33-yard line. And it's hard to see who has it. No one's body language really giving you any indication. But we've had turnovers already in this game.
Here's where I put a rule in for next year. When you get a pile up like this, nobody can come into that pile. It's a penalty if you do. That way they fish. Now they're going to give it, it looks like, to the Raiders.
Both quarterbacks have thrown an interception, and Denver has turned it over on a fumble as well. Let's go down to Ron Blum for the call.
The dual possession at the bottom of the pile. The ball belongs to Oakland at the spot of the fumble. 3rd down.
They've got it 3rd and 16. Great time for Gannon. Sidearm pass caught by Crockett and leveled on the play by Corey James. A gain of 6, 4th down and long.
What this represents is good coverage down the field, because Rich Gannon is having to hold the ball and go to alternate receivers.
Timeout taken by Gannon. And now Oakland has 2 timeouts. Denver has 2 timeouts. Broncos lead 6-0. New England losing their first game of the year to Kansas City. They missed a field goal this year on field goals, but he missed today. Here's a 53-yarder tried by Husted, who missed a 61-yarder last week to win it in Seattle.
But it would have been good for 53. It was just short of 61.
53-yard try is away, and it is no good. Wide left. Michael Husted, who's long in his career, 57 yards, and a guy who just left a... Here comes Denver. From the 43, 1st and 10. Greasy, 10 of 17, now 11 of 18. Great two-handed catch by McCaffrey. Gain of 7, 2nd down and 3 upcoming. Covered on the play by Eric Turner, and the 2-minute offense is in.
A lot of credit to Greasy. He didn't practice this all week. The 2-minute offense went to Bubby Brister during the week.
2nd down and 3. Good block by Lepsis, going deep. He's got Smith wide open on the sideline. He scampers out of bounds at the Raiders' 17-yard line. A gain of 33 yards and a first down for Denver.
Rod Smith is injured. He's re-injured that groin muscle again. Eric Allen time is going to be laying short in the flat here. He's going to, Smith is going to get behind him, and right there you can see as he pulled up, as he turned up the field, he re-injured that groin muscle. Last week he had on the first pass of the game. He could have gone all the way if he'd had all his speed.
Each team with 2 timeouts. From the 17-yard line, Greasy 1st and 10, quarterback draw, and the flags are thrown, and they stop the play in mid. Raider 22, 1st down and 15 yards to go. 5 wide receivers. Greasy down the middle, wide open is the tight end Sharp. Make it Chamberlain. And he is down to the 7-yard line, where he is close to a first down. Interesting relationship when Chamberlain and Greasy were not. They stand right now. Chamberlain is in the backfield as a protector. Greasy, quarterback draw on the run. He's got the first down, but not the touchdown. He gets 5 to the 3. Eric makes the stop, and Broncos with quarterback Brian Greasy. Great time to the end zone. Wide open. Smith touchdown Denver. His first touchdown reception of the season. And Denver shutting out Oakland 12-0.
Rod Smith works his way open in behind Eric Turner.
Extra point is in. Smith playing injured and hurting. Gets the touchdown pass from Greasy, his 5th of the year.
These season games and really kind of surprised everybody with the move. Has benched Greasy a couple times this year, but put him in today because of the injury to Bobby Bristol.
Here comes Kaufman around the wedge and near the 40-yard line. That's where the Raiders will have it. And wasn't it interesting last week in the Denver papers? One of the columnists there, and it has been an interesting week reading the stories in the Rocky Mountain News and the Denver Post. But one of them talked about Greasy maybe being an outsider, how he wasn't being respected by.
I don't think that's a negative trait.
On the 38, 1st and 10, he is hit as he throws, and Gannon with a flag being thrown watches Crockett drop the ball. He had great pressure on the play from Alfred Williams, and a hold called. Not surprised.
Bounce somewhere in there.
1st down and 20. Draw play, handoff goes to the shifty Kaufman, who has led the team in rushing the last 3 years, and that's our first half comes to a close. You hear the boos? Sounded like Mile High Stadium last week. That happens every place. Denver with a touchdown pass to Smith. 2 long field goals by Elam, shutting out the Oakland Raiders 13-0. We go to New York for the NASDAQ halftime report.
Going for a fellow that is in his first year really of playing, only threw 3 passes last year, and with very little practice. That's a terrific stand-in job. The Raiders this half, though, I predict are going to come after him. They're not going to give him the same look that he saw in the first half.
Elam will kick. There you see Brian Greasy. And our second half is underway from Oakland. Picked up by Randy Jordan, who is up to the 25-yard line. We continue to see a reserve left tackle in the game for the Raiders as the player is down. Darius Johnson for Denver. Some thought he might on the 25, 1st down and 10. Handoff goes to Tyrone Wheatley, who is brought down with a great behind the line of scrimmage tackle by Alfred Williams. Raiders held to 27 yards rushing in the first half.
Unusual. They've been averaging about 147 yards in a ball game rushing, which is as good as anybody in the league. And Tyrone Wheatley's been the guy doing it. John Gruden told us yesterday he thinks that Jimmy Johnson and the Miami Dolphins actually got him in shape to have this kind of a year.
Good point. 2nd down 11. Great time for Gannon. Throws to the fullback Ritchie with the catch to the 37-yard line. Tackle made by Romanowski. A gain of 13 on 2nd and 11. Ritchie was a 3rd-round pick, and while he was out east playing high school football, was the #1 rated football player in the country.
Let's compare the first half with Greasy and Rich Gannon. Not a big deal of difference in terms of overall, except for the yardage there. Only 1 mistake apiece on the interception. Of course, the touchdown pass by Greasy.
On the 37-yard line, 1st and 10. Ran the pass outside. Good-looking catch by Wheatley. A full steam up the sideline. A 1st down up to the 48. And Sam, you and I always talk about halftime adjustments. Anything you see with the Raiders right off the bat?
Well, I see some with Denver. Watch Glenn Cadrez coming straight up the middle. As Gannon lets it go, he gets a earful, shoulder pad, and both biceps of Glenn Cadrez. I think you're going to see John Gruden, if that happens one more time, go back to those 2 tight ends and 2 running backs. Protect the quarterback. Make sure he doesn't get hit too much. They don't want to lose Rich Gannon around here.
Back and forth they go in Indianapolis. Tennessee still holding on. Tennessee losing last week to San Francisco. 1st and 10. Great time for Gannon. Being chased by Hasselbeck. Gets away and then finally brought down by Al Wilson. The 1st-round pick out of Tennessee. It's a sack. It's the 3rd recorded by the Broncos today.
Al Wilson is an impressive player. Now he's playing right back in here. He's going to be in coverage. Now the scramble starts and he reacts to the scramble. This is pure speed. He just catches and closes on it. Al Wilson from Tennessee, their #1 pick this year, as you mentioned, and he's got gap responsibility, which means that he's got one part of the defense he's got to be responsible for initially. Then he abandons that and goes and does what he just did.
Second down, 11. Gannon flings a pass inside, lassoed by Tim Brown, close to a Raider first down. Brown coming into today needed 86 yards to become the 16th NFL receiver with 10,000 in his career. He's got 28.
You see more and more of this quick throwing. Tim Brown on what's called a slant pattern. 3 steps by the receiver and then to the inside. 3 quick steps by the quarterback and release the ball just inside the outside linebacker. And then a nice little throwing lane inside.
He's been good for a long time.
Receiver, returner, and a good guy to have on the football team. Good guy in the locker room.
41-yard line, first down and 10. Great change of direction by the bulldozing Wheatley to the 30-yard line. Incredible punishing run by Wheatley, a pickup of 11 yards.
This is the cutback. He's going to cut extremely hard to the backside. Now watch the blocking right here. See all this sealed off from inside? That's every one of those blockers blocking the inside gap. Where was this guy when he was a Giant? And why would Jimmy Johnson let him go if he was running like this in Miami?
Dan Reeves, when he was coaching at the Giants, didn't even want him. He wanted to draft Rashaan Salaam. George Young drafted Wheatley, who is a huge bust, injured and non-productive. They traded him to Miami. And then at the draft, when Miami started getting all these running backs in the draft, as we see Ray Crockett down and holding on to a knee, the Raiders wanted to make a trade with Miami. Dolphins eventually waived him. Wheatley comes to the Raiders. Story is over.
With Greg Robinson, the defensive coordinator, they didn't look like they were real concerned about the health issue.
First and 10, Gannon from the 30, sidearm pass as he was being whipped around like a rag doll. Incomplete. Al Wilson was all over the Oakland quarterback.
Very impressive young rookie. Straight drop back pass. Wilson's going to be coming from the inside. Now watch, here's that speed again. There's a difference between pure speed, 40-yard dash, and closing speed. Closing speed are those last 2.5 steps as you kind of finish off a rush. Al Wilson's got it. Good looking play.
Well, when you play for the national champions, I guess you can look like him. Second down and 10 from the 30. It's Zach Crockett to the 27-yard line on a gain of 3, brought down by a host of players, including Trevor Price. You know, Denver this season has not done well stopping the run. Kimball Anders of Kansas City, 142 yards. Mike Allstott of Tampa Bay, 131 yards. The Jets, Curtis Martin, a season high 95 last week. But today they have stopped the run.
Well, today is another day, isn't it? So here we go.
No, you're supposed to have something more clever to say about Robinson.
I was thinking of something else. Check me later.
Yeah. 3rd and 7. Play action, moving up. A little shovel pass, and it's caught by Crockett, who is very close to the first down, near the 21-yard line. Probably close enough to measure, and I think they're going to go for it on 4th down.
Tyrone Braxton's going to save this one right here. He's playing up. That's a safety. There's a little shovel pass. Watch Braxton come out of the middle, but lots of power by Zach Crockett. May have pushed himself over the first down.
Do you know what the Raiders and John Gruden do so well is they have a lot of running backs being used, fresh legs, good for morale, offense more effective. Kaufman, Wheatley, Jordan, Crockett. I mean, they've used 11 different backfield looks, mixing personnel and formations all season long.
That's his history. Lots of personnel, lots of formations. Not that many plays. You can have a lot of formations and motion and so forth to disguise a limited number of plays, so everybody has a lot of reps with the plays and they execute well. I like this guy. We had a great conversation with him yesterday.
I like him a lot. 36 years old, the youngest coach in the NFL.
And he admires me.
Which was the most surprising thing he
shocked me, baby. I couldn't believe it.
He wants you to come next training camp and help out.
Yeah, he's a good coach. Here's an important play right here. 4th down.
4th and inches from the 20. Crockett first back through. I don't know. Now back in the first half, the Denver Broncos held the Raiders at the 14-yard line of Denver on 4th and 1. Have they done it for a second time Or did Crockett submarine and carve out the necessary yards for the first down?
It is right on the marker here. This is just going to be the placement of the ball. And once again, all the officials can do is use their best judgment. At the bottom of that pile, there's not much else you can do. This one looks, what do you think? You think it's got it?
I think he got it. And I think it's a bad spot, to be honest. I think the Broncos held, and I think they gave a very generous spot to Gruden's offense. But first down it is, and the Raiders continue their drive, which began back at their 25.
And John Gruden has come through that West Coast offensive group of coaches, that coaching tree, and he has used a lot of wide receivers, a lot of tight ends. Right now, 2 tight ends in the ball game and 2 running backs. That's good protection, also good running.
On the 11th play of the Oakland drive, great play, penetration. Alfred Williams has put on a terrific display today. Had the tricep injury. Williams, the ex-49er and ex-Bengal, second down and 11. Play action, good time to the end zone. He's got a receiver. It's a touchdown, caught by the tight end, Derek Walker.
Derek Walker's lined up on the right side. Just a token fake. 3 deep zone by the Denver Broncos. And Derek Walker slips in between 2 of the safeties.
His first touchdown reception since 1996. He's played for Kansas City and San Diego. Last year he didn't even play in the NFL. He was out of football. A bad snap with a good hold by Aragoose, and Husted's extra point is in. The Raiders are back in business. A touchdown pass. 13-7. Brought to you by the Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company. Kevin Harlan, Sam Weich. Beautiful Oakland, where the Raiders have just gotten a 21-yard touchdown pass. Houston to kick off to John Avery, who last year as a rookie from Miami was 8th in the NFL in kickoff returns. The boot will take him into the end zone and out of the end zone. Great kick.
That's what you want when you've turned things around, gotten back in the ball game. Just kick it right out of the end zone. Michael Husted.
You had him in Tampa.
I had him. He made the team. Outkicked Eddie Murray.
Timeout for company for these great shots. San Francisco on a hazy 80-degree day here in the Bay Area. The Raiders crowd getting fired up. They come in 2-2. Denver winless at 0-4. Denver trying to avoid their first ever 0-5 start. Greasy in for the injured Brister. 1st and 10. Here comes the rush, and Johnstone brings him down. The second sack by the Raiders today, Lance Johnstone.
Johnstone comes off this side right here. Now he's going to come up the field. He's going up against Tony Jones, the left tackle. See him come up the field. A little swim. He's protecting the outside. Number 51. His job is to make sure that nobody gets outside of him. There's no bootleg or reverse. Lance Johnstone sees the ball and just closes on it.
Led the Raiders in sacks last year. Picks up his 4th of 99 right there. It's 2nd and 23. Handoff to Gary. Breaks one tackle, then forced out of bounds by linebacker K.D. Williams. No place to run, no place to hide. Let's go to New York and Jim Nantz. Most unimaginable. That kid is just a second-year quarterback, one of the highest-rated quarterbacks coming into this week.
They've got a lot of things in place with Edgerton James, the running back, as well as Peyton Manning.
3rd down and 12 from the 10. Greasy got a block from Brown. That ball deflected at the line of scrimmage, and it may have been Russell Maryland that got it. It's incomplete. 3 and out. Maryland with great play. Lance Johnstone, though, really set the tone for that defensive series for the Raiders.
He's so quick up the field, and he gets the first step. It gives him the advantage over the tackle. That time, really, the tackle wasn't blocking him. I gave Tony Jones the blame, but he was beyond him. The running back, though, couldn't handle him up the field, and that's why Brian Greasy was sacked.
Rush comes on. Shed got close to ruin. The punt is away and caught by Gordon back at the 42. The ex-Bronco Not find a lot of room to go there as he returns at just 3 yards. Tackle made by George Coghill, activated for today. A 49-yard punt. Johnstone's defensive heroics keep open.
CBS is sponsored by Wendy's Bacon Mushroom Melt and by Sure Grip by Fram.
Kevin Harlan, Sam White. We are in Oakland, where John Gruden's Denver Broncos, or Oakland Raiders, just scored a touchdown the last time they had it on a 21-yard pass. And let's see what they can do now on their second half possession on offense from the 46. First and 10. Good block by DiNapoli. There goes a pass out of bounds, just throwing it away. He was chased on the play by Eric Brown and Trevor Price. Next Sunday, the NFL on CBS, beginning at 12 Eastern with 1 Eastern, the games will begin, but 12 Eastern, the actual show with Jim and the gang will start. Miami and New England will be the headline game. Also, Oakland at Buffalo, and there you see the group. 12 noon Eastern, it all begins. The NFL Today, presented by Southwest Airlines, next week on CBS.
So many teams playing so well. San Diego playing beautifully, playing next week at 4 o'clock. Nobody getting the dynasty roll this year.
Second down 10. Good block by Ritchie and a pass right on the money, and it's caught at the 35-yard line by James Jett. We've always known he's a long threat, gaining 19 right there, but he's worked with Fred Biletnikoff on the medium routes, and it's paid huge dividends.
Well, that's why he's open underneath here, because he is such a deep threat. Crockett giving him plenty of room, make sure he's got a run and start. And then if you can change directions, the real good receivers have the deep threat, but they can stop and come back to the ball. That way, there's really no way to cover him unless you give extra help. And, of course, you can't do that on every snap.
First catch by Jett today at the Denver 35, first down and 10. 13-7 Broncos. Hand off to Wheatley. Breaking one tackle of Romanowski, and then down he goes at about the 37, losing 2 on the play, and that is the 7th carry for Wheatley, and only 14 yards. Denver has stopped the rushing game of the Raiders today.
And they're trying everything on the Oakland side of the ball. They're 2 tight ends with the extra run. That time they had the 2 tight ends with the running back up, but they didn't block the outside man. That was Bill Romanowski coming up. But John Gruden and his staff did some things right in the halftime, though. They came out for the 3rd time this season and scored on the opening drive of the second half.
Second down 12 from the 37. Rich Gannon throwing a pass and out of the range of wide receiver James Jett. Incomplete pass. Backdoor NFL Today studios in New York, and Jim Nantz.
Well, Kev, the Titans were a little sluggish early, but this got the crowd going in Nashville. O'Donnell to Yancey Thigpen just wide open. And they lead the Ravens now, 3rd quarter, 14-9. 7.5 remaining third. Let's go back to you. And
Jim, last week it was Yancey Thigpen catching a pass which brought the Titans to within 2 at San Francisco.
I'm telling you, it was all that work in Pittsburgh that did it for the Neil O'Donnell and Thigpen combo.
Good point. 3rd down and 12 from the 37. Gannon with 4 receivers deployed. With time, finds a pass downfield, caught for a first down by Terry Mickens, and then torn away by Crockett with the foot race down the sideline, out of bounds at the 46-yard line. A 29-yard return by Crockett, another Raider turnover, and Denver takes control.
Jett and Crockett have been battling all day long. Crockett has covered him whether he's on the left side or the right side. Now the question here is forward motion. Has it stopped or has it not stopped? And the ball is just wrestled away. You tell me. You're looking at it. Had motion stopped? The whistle obviously didn't blow.
Would you ask for a replay and a ruling?
I don't think that's a replayable deal. Unless the official will go over and tell John Gruden, who complained about that. I believe that was Mickens that time. That wasn't Jett. The ball was stolen from. And here, Ron Blum will come over now, and he will tell John Gruden if he has a play that is reviewable. This is part of the routine of the instant replay.
We talked about this with Gruden yesterday, and I think, and we've talked to many NFL head coaches, there is truly...
Oakland has challenged the ruling on the field that the player's knee was not down when the ball was stripped.
So they can challenge it.
All right, here, well, they're going to challenge, was his knee down? That would end the play. If his knee is down, the play is over. Contact by the defender. Here's the fight.
No movement.
Right. Is his knee down? Now, John Gruden is saying his knee is down and he has possession of the ball.
Good call.
At that point, the play is over. And I think this one has a chance to be reversed.
Watch his right knee.
Contact, obviously, by Crockett.
Right there. I think it was down right there.
If his knee is down and he's got any part of the ball. Remember earlier in the game we had dual possession and it goes to the offense if both receiver and defender have their hand on the ball. Now if that knee is down, it is right there, and he still has possession of the ball. There it is again. He still had partial possession. Let's see if we can see it from this angle. He's got possession. It looks like his knee is clearly down there and back up again.
Well, the replay before this, I think, was the most explanatory.
Key to it now, does he have possession and is the knee down? Now if he had possession and the knee goes down and there's not contact, that's another story, but obviously he's being wrapped up by the defense. 39 Ray Crockett.
Here is the judge and jury, though, Ron Blum, on the sideline. They can only show him the play from upstairs, but he makes the call on the field.
Right. Remember, he's looking at the same things we are.
I guess the question now is, did he still have possession of the ball?
Well, if he had any possession of the ball, it goes to the offense. I go back to that earlier fumble recovery where two players were fighting for the ball. They gave it to the offensive guy. Is the knee down right there? That's the question. It's very close.
But he doesn't have I don't know if he had the ball. It's taken 1:45 already to make the
Oakland's challenge that the receiver's knee was down prior to the strip is upheld. The ball on the 24-yard line. Okay.
That was, first of all, a great replay sequence by the people here from the NFL, and a terrific challenge by Gruden.
It was the right thing to do. Remember, he's getting input from upstairs in the booth. His coaches are seeing a replay, or at least have a view that might have happened. You challenge one like that. The other positive here is the system works. It was designed to come in, not to destroy the tempo of the game by having a lot of replays by an observer in the booth, but an appeal. When I think you made an honest mistake, I want you to recheck it and try to get it right, and that's what they did.
And through week 4, 45 reviews, 16 overturned. If he had lost that appeal, he would have lost the timeout.
That's the penalty, so you're running the risk of a timeout. Well worth it in a case like that.
First down to the 24-yard line of Denver. Brown is in motion. And off to Wheatley. Does not break the tackle of Torrey James. Torrey James blew a knee in '97. Miraculous recovery, contributing last year, and now he's back in the lineup.
And Tyrone Wheatley, again, the same style running play. He's downhill, coming from a deep position in the backfield, and he can either bounce it outside, hit it quick straight ahead, or bend back, which he tried to do there, but Torrey James was doing his job on the backside.
Wheatley has carried it 8 times today. 5 of those 8 carries for no gain or a loss. Second down and 10. Good block by Kennedy, right on the money as the pass from Gannon to wide receiver Tim Brown. He picks up 4 yards right there. And that'll bring up third down. The Colts on top on the touchdown pass to Pollard. Miami at 2-1 and coming off that loss to Buffalo on Monday night, and Tennessee still leading Baltimore.
Still like Tennessee as a team is going to make seasonal strides, not just early start strides.
Giants today started Kerry Collins, but losing in the Valley of the Sun, 14-0.
And the battle of the Buckeyes stayed there. Cincinnati with Achilles Smith at quarterback. They win. First time.
Third down and 6th. Gannon hit by Williams and devoured by Williams. The 3rd sack today for Denver.
And he's beating Barry Sims, who's replaced Mo Collins, who we've reported has a bad. This is the block right here. Now here comes the rush coming from the outside. And watch his shoulders. Watch his shoulders. When his shoulders turn, it's over. You've got to stay in front, keep shifting your feet, and keep your body in front. Mo Collins, once again, has a knee injury and won't be back in this ball game at left tackle.
Now they're going to have a longer field goal try from 47 yards. Michael Husted, who takes the place of Greg Davis, is the kicker here. This kick is up. And from 47 yards away, it is good. He missed earlier in the game from 53 yards away. So the Raiders, who are down 13-0, have come back and chipped away, and we've got a game in Northern California. Third quarter. quarter. Denver by 3. There's defense holds the Raiders to just a 3-point try, so a victory for them.
Another one of my guys, Alfred Williams in Cincinnati.
Yeah, he drafted him in the number 18 slot in the first round.
He's just quick. He's too quick right now for Sims.
You saw John Avery, the ex-Dolphin, and he watches this one sail out of the end zone. Husted did a nice job kicking those off. Second touchback for Michael Husted, who signed as a big-time free agent from the Buccaneers. Tonight on the CBS Sunday night movie, 1,000 tons of runaway steel. Only one man can stop it. Robert Urich stars in Final Run. Tonight on CBS. Right after 60 minutes.
Looks like more action than Jag has sometimes.
Yeah. Oakland with 10 unanswered points after trailing 13-0. Brian Greasy to the rookie Olandis Gary. And he plows ahead for 4. Tackled on the play by Williams to Jim Nance in New York.
Kevin and Sam, the Dolphins had it first and goal from the 4. 4 straight plays. They run the rookie Cecil Collins. He is stuffed. And the Colts hold at the goal line as they're about to start the 4th quarter at Indianapolis. Back to Kevin and Sam.
You know, they had, thank you, Jim, they had John Avery, and they traded him because he was fumbling the ball, dropping passes. If Avery were there, it may have been a different story. 2nd down and 6. Gary with the hole on the left side, twisting and turning for 5. They'll be close to a 1st down.
Really like the way Olandis Gary runs the football. He's the same style as Terrell Davis. That makes it easier on those offensive linemen up front blocking for him. Got the same kind of feel, same kind of timing as you watch him. And of course, he's had this week a chance to get some practice snaps in there, although Derek Lovell was supposed to play, but during the week in practice he pulled a hamstring and was unable to go today.
3rd down and 2. Denver has yet to convert a 3rd down today. Greasy across the middle, dropped. Great defense by Eric Turner. Incomplete pass to Sharp. And the Broncos have got a punt. They have yet to convert a 3rd down today. Sharp has not caught a pass today.
44 touchdown pass. Look at the first categories. Denver all-time rank. Receptions, receiving yards, and touchdown receptions, but he's not thinking about any of that right now. He just got leveled that time by Eric Turner.
Turner's had a nice game where he turned a fumble for 34 yards.
Another one of the big backs, you know, 6'1", 215 pounds, having as good a year. I asked Al Locasal of the Raiders yesterday as we watched practice if he was having the best of the defensive backs, best year. He said, well, Charles Woodson's a hard one to argue with, but Eric Turner's having one right with him. Of course, Eric Allen on the other side and Anthony Newman, they've got a good solid defensive backfield reflected in their defensive standing.
Sharp slow to get up. He has not talked to the media all year, and the fuse was basically lit on the Broncos preseason trip to all. But I think this team misses that emotional presence he was in the locker room when he was young all the time. And
I agree.
And speaking out to the media, the kick by Ruin is high. Gordon at the 19-yard line, and a flank of blockers ahead, finds a seam, and there he goes. Gets a great block from Kenny Shedd. Gets another block from Branch. He has one player to beat. Watson gets him at the 3. Incredible.
Darian Gordon averaging over 13 yards a return in his career. A lot of this return is terrific blocking by his teammate. Look at all the blocking down in front. Calvin Branch just screening off the last man. But at the very end, Chris Watson with a lot of speed coming from the outside. Watch this block right here. That's Braxton.
That ruined the punter.
That was Jerome Williams making the block. And the punter, of course, the recipient. Punter, believe me, doesn't practice a lot on taking on blockers.
As was evidence in that replay. 1st and goal from the 4. Trying to take a lead. It's Wheatley sidestepping his way and diving to the 2. A gain of 2. 2nd down. Brigham, the tight end, in motion. Gannon will throw with time on the run. He's a great scrambling quarterback and whittles his way to the 1. A gain of about a yard. It'll be 3rd and goal for the Raiders.
Neil Smith makes the saving tackle. I think he scrambles his way loose. And Neil Smith's going to be coming from this side right here. Watch the scramble. Here he goes, number 90. You see him closing from the backside. He's got that closing speed that he had in Kansas City as well. Gannon a chance to run or to pass, but they've got it in tight. 2 running backs in the backfield with 3 tight ends.
Handoff, Crockett trying to spin his way in, again short. 4th and goal. Do you tie it, or on 4th and goal do you try to punch it in?
Well, they're 1 for 2 on 4th down, going for first downs. This one, of course, they've got no luxury of a deep threat. Everybody be around it. They're going to go for the field goal with Michael Husted coming on the field.
Rich Gannon just went over to the end zone crowd and showed a very anguished, furious look at them, because I think he felt there was too much noise for him to audible or call plays. He is extremely frustrated.
Well, down there, you're hoping at home that you get the option of audibling if you want to, but they were in a tight formation. They chose to take that big offensive line and try to blow Denver off the ball, and they didn't get it done.
18-yard try by Houston. They blow this one dead, and remember, back, Raiders will have a chance to tie. We go to the points by the Raiders, who at one time trailed in this game 13-0.
This is truly just an extra point.
So Denver's defense holds Oakland out of the end zone, but the Gordon punt return ties the game. And more bad news for the Denver Broncos. Sharp has just broken his collarbone. Seen unanswered points, and you heard me right going to that commercial. Shannon Sharp has a broken collarbone. Obviously won't return, and his status and the severity of the broken collarbone unknown. The kickoff to Chris Watson. Returned one last week for 71 yards against the Jets, and staggers his way to the 28, tackled by Jermaine Williams. Number 34.
And Davis, and of course John Elway's retired.
On the 28, Brian Greasy. Great time to throw. Looking downfield. Chased on the play by Bryant. Thrown, caught by McCaffrey. The Broncos' first down since the final minute of the first half, when Rod Smith made the catch. Oh, now they wipe it away. He said it was out of bounds. The catch was made, but out of bounds, incomplete, and somebody for the Raiders is down.
Let's watch it right here coming up the sideline. Now remember, this throw is going to happen late. Outmoved by McCaffrey. He sees the quarterback scramble his way. He turns up the sideline. He's a legal receiver. He hasn't gone out of bounds. Now let's see if he gets 2 feet. He got possession, 1 foot out of bounds. Good call by the official. That wasn't a force out. There's the catch. Possession first. 1, 2. What do you think?
Tough call. There's a
America on.
Down, both got up under their own power. It's 2nd down and 10 for Greasy, being chased on the play by Bryant, the rookie from Florida State. And he's run out of bounds and whacked on the chalk, but no flag thrown. As you see the scrambling. Oh, there's a late flag thrown across the way. Flag is down at the 34-yard line. Came in late on the play.
Going on after the play ended, not just the hit along the sideline when Greasy was scrambling. Let's see what the official says.
Personal foul, hit out of bounds, 54 defense, 15 yards, first down.
Greg Beekert, the middle linebacker.
That's what they did call as a late hit, but that was a very late flag coming. Here's Brian Greasy. Now once he's out of bounds, and they're going to protect the quarterback a little more than anybody else. He's out of bounds, but boy, that's real close along the sideline, and it doesn't look like a devastating kind of a hit, just a glancing blow. But they do protect the QB.
Hand off to Olandis Gary, the 4th-round pick out of Georgia. Spins his way into the grasp of Charles Woodson. All right, let's go to New York. Another update with Jim Nantz.
But I hate talking about Alindo Mari that way.
A 2nd down and 2. Here comes the rush by Harris. Wide open is McCaffrey. Inside the 35 and belted at the 33. Woodson makes the tackle, gain of 15 yards. McCaffrey comes up good again.
McCaffrey had a bruised thigh earlier. Now let's watch him. He goes up the, he's going to take another little bit of a bump and then into the flat. Quarterback's going to lay it out for the bootleg. He's playing with a bruised thigh that he suffered just a few moments ago. And watch this hit. And he is still on the ground as we speak. Here he is trying to remember if it's still Sunday afternoon.
5 catches, 88 yards. First down, handoff to Gary. Runs into a pile of defenders. And then is whacked by Katie Williams. Gain of 3.
You know, it's the same running style you saw Terrell Davis do that a lot, where it looked like he was full speed underway, and then here comes the linebacker. Lots of double teams by Denver at the point of attack and trying to scrape up on the linebacker. If they don't get there, that clean shot on the running back. We just saw another one.
Mike Shanahan looking for his first win of the season as Gary will check out. Hard to believe this team came in today 0-4, the 2-time defending Super Bowl champions.
Frustrating for Mike Shanahan as well. I'm sure he's not getting as much sleep as he did a year ago.
2nd down, 7. It's Smith, and he wants to throw the wide receiver throwing to McCaffrey. It was caught but out of bounds. Incomplete, and McCaffrey is down again.
McCaffrey is like a heavyweight fighter that's just getting pounded on with every right cross. Watch him go up. He's fully extended when he gets hit right here. This is McCaffrey now going up the sideline. Ball's going to be handed to Rod Smith on what looks like a reverse or a sweep. Full extension. And you see Charles Woodson coming in and catching him. He's already got a bruised thigh. He may have a bruised rib now.
He is out of the game. It's 3rd down and 7, and they're still working on him across the way.
He's all the way off the field, but he is really in kind of a dangerous spot because he's just beyond the 1st down marker. So if there were to be an out cut or a run down that sideline, players are going to spill off to where he is.
They've been in 3rd and long all day. Lexus with a good block across the middle. Byron Chamberlain's got the 1st down and more. To the 15-yard line. Worked across the middle. Woodson was there. Chamberlain picks up 11 yards.
And Chamberlain gets locked on with Greg Beaker, the middle linebacker. Man-to-man coverage. Once again, protection by the offensive line. And this is an offensive line that doesn't match up weight-wise, size-wise with the defensive line they're battling against. Chamberlain lines up at tight end and also in the backfield occasionally.
He's got 3 catches today. The best game of his career was against these Raiders in '96 when he had 5 catches. Olandis Gary, crank, swivel outside, breaking tackles. He's inside the 10. A hard-earned gain of 5 on the play. Let's go back to Jim Nantz in New York.
Another.
2nd down and 5. Gary again. Rookie from Georgia, we said before, he grew up in Maryland, set a state record for high school rushing yards, went to Marshall for 2 years, transferred to Georgia, and the thing that sold Mike Shanahan on this kid, they were watching tape in the last 3 or 4 games he played for the Bulldogs in Athens. He was gaining 5 and 6 yards a pop. They made him a 4th-round pick.
Well, they're not gaining 5 and 6 yards a pop this year for the Denver Broncos, so they needed a guy that was used to those kinds of yards. Offensive line, when they get a runner like that, they block a little harder. They stay on their blocks a little longer.
3rd down, short for Greasy. Pocket crumbling. Here comes Harvey to the end zone. A one-hand grab. Dropped. Incomplete. McCaffrey could not lasso the pass. Double teamed as Greasy throws into a thicket of Raider defenders.
All right, now watch. Here's McCaffrey on the outside. Greasy has got all the time in the world going up against Charles Woodson. Now watch Woodson. He's going to watch the receiver as much as he is the ball. Now when the hands go up, Woodson's hand goes up. Ball just doesn't come back down. Almost a great one-handed catch.
So Elam, who has kicked from 48 and 47 yards today, will try to put the Broncos on top with this 26-yard field goal, and does. Broncos led 13-0. Raiders came back to tie it at 13. And Elam puts them up by 3. What a game. In California, it's the Broncos. Sam White, Kevin Harlan from Oakland. The performance put in today by Ed McCaffrey has been absolutely inspiring.
It is. As a former coach, I tell you, look for about 20 of those guys on your football team.
Calvin Branch will return this one. Tripped up. Down he goes near the 20-yard line, tackled by Chris Watson. Thursday on CBS, an all-new Chicago.
We have talked about finishing ball games. Here's your chance to prove you can do it.
From the 20-yard line, 1st and 10. Gannon with the rush, the pass to the fullback. Ritchie banged around like a pinball, hit by Traylor once, and finally brought down after a gain of 8. I like this kid Ritchie. He's tough, and he is a nice lead blocker as well.
Remind you of Tom Rathman a little bit?
Yeah, good comparison.
Yeah, he's got those big blocking shoulders. He knocks people down for the ball carrier, and then when the passing game, he's a protector. Nothing happens. He slips out and catches those. Just that kind of a pass. Got 4 of them today.
2nd down, 2 from the 28. Denver leads by 3. Look at the run by Wheatley, then horse collared by Alfred Williams. Tore him down, but a 1st down run on the 8-yard gallop by Wheatley to New York in Jim Nantz.
Kevin, we keep updating the same game. It is a wild one. Peyton Manning for the 3rd time today now has thrown a touchdown. 2 of them to Marcus Pollard. And it's the Colts 31-22 with 8:14 remaining. Back to Kevin and Sam.
Thank you, Jim. Great game there. Great game here. 16-13 Broncos on top. It's 1st and 10 from the 37. Kaufman is in the backfield. Here comes Williams. There goes the pass. Blocked by Wisniewski. Here goes Kaufman for a 1st down catch and run to the 46-yard line of 17. Steve Wisniewski just crushed an oncoming Bronco, the 5-time Pro Bowler.
Screen play to the left, right here. Now watch this block coming out to the left side. There comes the hit. Watch it. Right there. Hello. Goodbye. Good night. Wow. They call those decleaters back in the locker room. All of the cleats came out of the ground.
Rich Gannon has thrown to 11 different receivers today. From the Denver 46, 1st and 10. Wheatley again puts his shoulder into that and then carries Mike Lodish on his back for another 3 or 4 yards. And then around his ankles he found Siren Brown.
His shoulder's not bothering him. It sounds to me, it looks to me like the Raiders are hearing the sound of John Gruden saying, finish everything you guys start. Finish this ball game. They got back into it after trailing 13-0, and now they've got to get back into it again after the field goal by Denver. But another Denver player down.
Siren Brown is down. Spot defender and special teams player, and he hobbles off.
Denver can't afford their spot players to go down. They have really been devastated by injuries and defections in the offseason. Of course, the retirement of Elway. Pretty tough to get the team on the field when your media guy doesn't represent your current ball club.
Bronco franchise has never started a season 0-5. Raiders defense has been tough today. And you see that Miami Indianapolis game, and as the sun sets in the west tonight, you're going to see some interesting scores heading into that Sunday night Green Bay Tampa Bay game. Here's a 2nd and 5.
A lot of office pools going to be switched around.
Yep. Fake handoff, play action. Here comes Neil Smith. Here comes Cottrez, and he throws Gannon out like a rag doll at the 45. Glenn Cottrez taking the place of the injured John Mobley. It is the 3rd sack by the Broncos today.
And the reason this is not a penalty, Glenn Cottrez gets to Rich Gannon before he is anywhere near the out of bounds. See, he's well inside. These markers right here, the 50, where it said 50, 40, 30-yard line, those are 12 yards from the sideline. He was no more than about 5 yards inside of that, but he was thrown all the way out of bounds.
Oakland down by 3. Here's a 3rd and 9. They've got to get to the 36 of Denver. Play clock at 1. Here comes Trevor Price chasing Gannon. He's got him, and down he goes. The 4th Broncos sack today, authored by Trevor Price right there. his 5th of the year. He is number 3 in the NFL in sacks this season.
All kinds of blitzes up the middle. They didn't quite get there, but Trevor Price, look at everybody coming in here. Now, watch the rush. Everybody's going to come up the middle. Here's Trevor Price. Now he's going to peel for contain, and when Rich Gannon bails, Trevor Price is there. That's a big man moving pretty good.
An emerging star is Price. Played linebacker at Michigan, transferred to Clemson, and he is the future, former #1 pick. The punt by Aragoose, picked up by Watson inside the 10 at the 8, got a block and moves up to the 15-yard line. No flag. Oh, 2 flags on the play at the 50. And some shoving after the play, too. Dale Carter, who's got a history of this sort of thing with Kansas City. Its entirety immediately following this game, except on the West Coast. Greasy on 1st and 10. Outside, Rod Smith with the catch. Clock continues to go. He's to the 6. He picks up a gain of 1.
Working down towards 6 minutes in the ball game where the clock's going to be a factor. Denver with the lead, but they don't want to give the ball back to Oakland. Backed up. If I can steal one from CBS.
From the 6, the rookie Gary breaking tackles, and he's out to the 14-yard line.
Now, there are no plays that aren't big plays, but this next one is a little larger than some of the others. And both coaches, Mike Shanahan knows this call needs to be the right one. He's making the selection of the plays. John Gruden, of course, with Willie Shaw, the defensive coordinator, trying to match the strategy.
3rd down and 2 outside the 13-yard line. Greasy from the gun, 4 wide receivers. The quarterback draw. He'll be close to a 1st down. And what may have gotten him the 1st down is he went head first into the 15 as opposed to sliding feet first. If he goes feet first, they mark it back at the 14. Head first, he's at the 15-yard line.
Exactly. When he goes head first, he abandons all his security. He doesn't have any protection. They can hit him as hard as they do a running back. But you're exactly right. If he doesn't go for it like Pete Rose going into 2nd, it doesn't happen.
That is a huge play by Greasy. Huge play.
That one, with now 4.5 minutes to go, gives them at least 3 more snaps and makes everything tougher on Oakland if they get the ball back.
1st and 10. And the handoff with the gain of 1 on the play. 2nd down, 9. Tonight on Sound and 9. From the shotgun and from the 15-yard line. Greasy moves up again, running upfield, sliding feet first to the 25, close to another Denver 1st down. He's done it 2 times in a row.
Exactly what you mentioned earlier, though. Because he slid, they're going to mark the first time that his body touches the ground. It's be short of the 1st down, at least the mark of the ball. It's going to mark it just a foot short. Look at the nice protection right up the chute. Quarterbacks are smart to climb up into the pocket and then move left and right once they get past the rush of the defensive ends, the block of the offensive tackle.
Sam, they did give him the 1st down.
Boy, from the first mark, it looked like he was going to be a good yard short. I guess they gave him the slide. Nobody really touched him anyway.
Oakland. 1st down from the 26. McCaffrey is in motion. Greasy with the long cadence and the handoff to Orlandis Gary, and he's up near the 28 on a gain of perhaps 2. Tackled on the play by Richard Harvey. Indianapolis Colts running back Edgerrin James is off to a fast start, as are the Colts.
They've got us hold him right here from the Oakland standpoint.
2nd down and 7. Handoff again to Gary, tackled by Greg Biekert. No gain on the play. The Denver Broncos took over with 6 minutes and 19 seconds left in the 4th quarter. And Greasy almost single-handedly has done a good job milking it himself with runs, almost 4 minutes with very poor field position.
Well, what he did better than anything else, he didn't make a foolish decision. He went back, he was passing the ball, nothing was there. Rather than throw the ball and maybe have it intercepted, giving the ball.
5 receivers platoon from the 27. Good time down the middle, broken up beautifully on the play by Darian Gordon, the ex-Bronco. And he effectively gives the Raiders the ball back with 2.5 minutes to play with this great defensive play.
Darian Gordon's going to come from on the left side right here, and Nocto coming underneath. Almost. Greasy almost puts that ball in the spot he didn't want to. Gordon not only knocks the ball down, doesn't even break stride, continues to run about 45 yards down the field to catch this punt.
Now Tom Ruin needs a good punt. Last time, remember, Gordon got a punt, returned at 78 yards. Backing up to the 18-yard line with the crack, slithering his way past the 35 and up to the 38-yard line. The tackle made by Nate Wayne. A good return of 19 yards. There's a flag down at the 31-yard line. And it's against the Broncos.
John Gruden's going to decline this and take
Number
field
70
position.
of the kicking team was illegally downfield. Penalties declined. First down, Oakland.
John Gruden's decision could have been to re-punt that, give Gordon another shot at it, but he's got great field position about the 38-yard line. They only need 3 points with 2:13 left. John Gruden, Rich Gannon talking about the fact that they've got 1 timeout remaining. They're going to stop the clock. Now, if they throw the ball right here, they may get 2 plays off before the 2-minute warning. So time really is not a crucial factor just yet. This is where the experience of Rich Gannon comes into play, right here, these kinds of situations.
From the 37-yard line, 1st and 10 for Gannon, 3 wide receivers. Little dink pass caught by Crockett up the middle and to the 45, and a gain of 7. 2nd down and 7. Sam, where do the Raiders have to get to kick a field goal to tie this game?
They'll need to get to about the 35-yard line, so we'll put the ball right in here. Let's move back a little bit. About the 35-yard line gives them a 3-point game.
We're at the 2-minute warning. Oakland came back to tie. Denver leads by 3 on an Elam field goal, and now we've got 2 minutes to play.
Right about here is a 3-point distance, about the 37-yard line. But remember, Michael Husted was short kicking in this direction. The wind favors him going the other way, but he won't have that luxury.
2nd down, 3. Gannon has the receiver. Great catch by Tim Brown to the Denver 45. A gain of 10 yards on the play. Clock continues to tick. Timeouts remaining. Oakland 1, Denver 2.
And Oakland's going to huddle up. They're about 10 yards away from field goal range. Obviously, the longer the field goal, the lower the percentages of making it. But clearly within Michael Husted's range and about 10 more yards.
1st and 10 from the 45. Good block on Sims, and there's a pass which is caught to the 36-yard line. Grabbed by Brown once again. 4th leading receiver coming into today in the NFL, a gain of 9.
No huddle, going to call it at the line. They are at the field goal range. If they don't lose anything here, they can kick from here and have an even money chance of making it.
Oakland with 1 timeout, Denver with 2. Here's Gannon looking for his second option. Price is in his face. The pass caught by Crockett. He's got a 1st down and stops the clock with 1:02. The grab made as he battled reserve linebacker Nate Wayne at the 33 of Denver.
Offensive line gets the credit here. He's looking right, tries to go back to the left, dangerous always, and then his outlet receiver to the sideline. Very close to being called an in the field of play tackle where the clock would have started running, but Nate Wayne didn't force him out of bounds.
Gannon 1st and 10 from the Bronco 33. He's hit his last 7, making 8 receivers. Going to the end zone, looking for Jet. Out of bounds, incomplete. Stride for stride with Torrey James.
Good call. Everybody was expecting them to inch their way closer to the field goal by going deep over Torrey James, who's replacing Ray Crockett right here on this situation. Of course, Jet, the fastest guy out there for the Raiders, going down the field. Go ahead and take your shot. A little nod outside was supposed to freeze Torrey James. It didn't do it.
Raiders were in this same situation last Sunday night up in the Kingdome against Seattle.
And they didn't get it done there. This is where finish everything comes into play. It's just a philosophy.
What's he doing there?
That's an audible. It's telling everybody to play. That hand signal is 1 play.
2nd down, 10. Great time. Great blocking by Sims. The ball bobbled, intercepted. It's picked off and grabbed by Torrey James with blocking ahead. The quarterback to beat out of bounds at the Raider 32-yard line. And the Broncos, after the 44-yard who have nailed their first win of 1999. What a play!
Unusual thing here is if the ball goes cleanly through and isn't almost caught, it's not intercepted. Torrey James is really going to steal the ball away. Watch right here. He holds onto it just long enough to keep it alive for Torrey James to steal it. If the ball skips on through his hands, it's still Raider ball. This ball is not round. It doesn't bounce fairly every time. Big interception, good concentration. They practice those tip drills all the time. And is there a load off of the back of this young coach?
And think what happened 10 years ago this week. The Raiders fired Shanahan as their head coach after he started the '89 season 1-3. What sweet revenge it might be for Shanahan.
And tough on the Oakland Raiders. This is 2 weeks in a row. They have played a good football game against a good opponent and come up just a little bit short.
Raiders have a timeout, but have elected not to stop the clock. Now they take it with...
Please set the clock to 36 seconds.
36 seconds.
I think you always take them. You never know when there might be a muffed exchange of this from the center to the quarterback. Funny things happen, Mr. Pisarcik. You never know. Make them make every play. But Torrey James came up right there with, after being tested on the deep throw the play before by James Jett. That time he was playing in tight man-to-man coverage, and the ball stayed alive long enough for the interception.
They've retrieved 2 turnovers the Broncos have from the Raiders. They came into today dead last in the AFC in the giveaway takeaway.
You know, the Raiders are used to taking that ball away 11 times coming into this ball game. Denver only 5 times coming into this ball game, but the big one happened just moments ago.
Total dejection by John Gruden. 2 weeks in a row late in the game he's lost. And Mike Shanahan, fired 10 years ago this week by this organization, the Raiders, has won a game when maybe his organization needed it in the worst of ways. Brian Griese told moments before the game he would start. Going down to a running back who was the main ball carrier, got him off the practice squad, and they win by 3. Now for Sam Weiss, Kevin Harlan saying so long from Oakland with a final score. Denver